But
All right, you guys, we are back. I hope you guys enjoyed that last segment. I know I did. Daryl, Terrell gave some really, really, really great answers, and I hope you guys really enjoyed that because a lot of people don't really think about that, Daryl. But Coastline Community College, which is where I got one of my mini degrees, they are mostly an internet type college, and it's right there in Fountain Valley, California.
yeah, okay.
And they have most of their core classes are in campus. You know, the core thing. So, what are your thoughts about that?
See, that they got their finger on what should be done at RCCD in all the colleges, that they should have the core classes should be a mandatory thing unless you have. But again, I was thinking about like if you're a high school, you just got out of high school, you're going to community college. Sure. It should be mandatory. The core classes, and you have to define what the core classes, general study classes, has to be done at the campus. And the reason for that, again, is about that experience of interacting with people. And
and you know, I'm going to cut you off. And also, you got to remember, this is your last time of actually being like young and enjoying that atmosphere, because once you graduate there, it's real life. It's going to hit you real hard, real quick.
Yeah, and something else that I was sitting here thinking about is the fact you mentioned about, you know, if we continue to have this environment of we just taking online class, all we are taking online classes, then why should we even have a community college if that's all you're doing? But then again, you think about economics too. You have to have support for those, like the library. If you, all of a sudden you have people just saying, you know what, I'm taking online classes, I'm gonna stick at the on Google and things like that. So therefore, you don't need the classes. No, you don't need the sports. You don't need the librarian. You don't need the workers. You don't need none of those anymore. Okay, like the cafeteria. I'm staying home. Why do you need a cafeteria? So what happens there is you lose
cafeteria
people.
Worker. Yeah, why do you need cafeteria workers?
Yeah,
how many jobs have you lost right there?
Yeah, so
you just put up some vending machines, and you know people happen to come by.
Exactly, and so it's a big issue economically and mental, a mental health issue, because when you do more online class, unless you have a reason to do it, and like I said, we have to really think about what would be exemptions for something like that, because like you said, you come out of high school and you say, I'm just sitting on the couch, take online classes, but you're not a father, you're not working, and you just it makes a legitimate reason that you shouldn't be. I mean, if I'm a father and I'm working at night, then online classes will be good. Like you were saying before, like having the more hybrid classes too, or fee structures. Those are all good ideas that we should explore, because things have changed since COVID-19. So we have to, as I said before, that colleges, as particularly Moreno Valley College, has to meet the challenges of its time, of this day. And the problem we have now, the big problem again is other than economics and vocational careers, is mental health. It's a serious issue that we have to get a handle on, and restructuring the courses and the classes that we put out there. We have to look at how we can get people back into the classrooms, and like you said, the suggestion of having core classes required, mandated that you take, unless there is a legitimate reason why you shouldn't. And I think prior to that, they did. I mean, you think prior to COVID, people could take online classes, but there was not a lot of online classes to take.
All right.
There were some that you maybe one or two classes you could take, but majority of the classes were on campus.
Right.
And when COVID came about, they expanded to having online classes at work, because that's the that's the way the times work.
Yeah, without interacting and all that other good stuff. Yeah.
But times are changing now, where we need to go back to where we were. When I mean go back to where we were, where we could have more people interaction on campus, because like I said, it's a detriment that if you don't have interaction with people, it could be a bigger problem later
down
on
the road, right?
So as a trustee, I have to look at what's in front of me, what's inside of me, and what the pragmatic approach to doing this. It's not a theoretical thing. It's just facts that mental health is a serious issue. And we have to get people back into interacting to one another. So as I say to the people out there, the listeners out there, if you're a parent or just a regular student, that yes, we still need to have, we should have online classes, we should have hybrids, but also at the same time we need to have people coming back to the schools. And the only way, I think, like Donovan was saying, a class structure, of a fee structure for online classes versus in school, because they mostly is free anyway. But we still need to have mandated that people come back to, for the core issues, not issues, but classes come back into the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, except if you have a legitimate reason why you can't do it.
Right. I mean, they got a lot of 19-year-old fathers and mothers out there that, might have to work. We got a lot of warehouses out here, so they might work at the warehouses late at night. So, as long as they can show, hey, I work here, why not, give them that option? But for a kid who plays video games and Call of Duty all of the time, even when he was in high school, now he's in college and he's still doing that and he's not socially interacting. I just don't understand how people would expect this young person to get a job and be in front of an interviewer and doesn't interact with people on a daily basis.
Well, that's a real, like I said, that's a real issue. I mean, me being on the board of trustees, that's something that's real. This is a real life situation. We dealing with. It's not theoretical. It's real, because we facing that right now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
If we're going to do a whole full thing of educating people, send them off to college, transfer, get a degree, go into the real world, our job is to make sure we prepare those folks to have all what they need to succeed. And if they're having issues of not knowing how to interact with people or how to socialize, then we send them out there to fail.
Exactly.
So taking policies like that, like I said, taking those policy steps and looking at what we can do to get people more back in the classroom, because it has to do, like I said, economics and enrollment. You need money. You have to have people in the seats, or we have to have people in the seats. So
and who's going to buy the Tiger merchandise? Think about that. The shirts and the notebooks and things like that. No, I'm going to go to, if I'm taking nothing but internet classes most of my career, I'm going to go to Walmart and get me a little generic, notebook and paper, and I got my own little printer, and I wouldn't have a need for anything. And next thing you know, the school is hurting for money because the students are not got their butts in the seats.
Well, that's why we have to look at it as a priority. If we, in preparing students to go off to a big college or to whatever into life prepared. And as a trustee, it's our job to make sure that we prepare people with the reality of the real world, not what's stuck on campus, but what's out there beyond those gates. If there are gates around the place.
Exactly.
Anyway.
What do you think your opponent, Carrie Thin, would... you're not speaking for her, but well, what do you think she would think about something like that? Because, again, she's Dr. Thin, and again, I'm not for the elitists, the people that are into these titles. When you got to tell people you're a doctor in America and you're not a medical doctor, that means nothing. It means nothing. It's like me being in the military. These military people running around with their ranks, talking about I'm staff sergeant or I'm sergeant and I'm lieutenant. It means nothing in America. But, what do you think she would say in regards to... And the reason why I bring that up is because you being alumni, you understood exactly what we're talking about, because you went to RCC and you kind of where I was coming from with that.
Yeah.
But what do you think Dr. Thin would say with an idea like that?
Well,
in your opinion,
I would look at it from her point of view as being a professor, academia. It'd be a more theoretical approach to this issue.
Theoretical with no substance.
Yes, and knowing that her experiences will be as a professor, being in the situation where she taught during COVID, how the students reacted to her. Mm-hmm. She'll be coming from a point of view, the interaction from students to her. Mm-hmm. So I think her perspective will come from a fact that I think she will. Yeah, like I said, I'm just only speaking from what from her. I don't know exactly what's going. I don't know what's in her mind, but I can just tell you, it would be a more from a professor's point of view, how things should, how you should address, like a situation, maybe in a situation how her campus handled this kind of type of situation, but from an administrative point of view, but not from a position of someone who's been in a situation like that has been a student at the college, and knowing what would you do if you were limited to, well, I'm gonna take online classes and interaction, unless you had someone come up to you, didn't know how to interact with you, then your perspective would be based on what you perceive from that student. But being a student and someone who's been a college student, and she's been a college student, but she is now in the point of being a professor where she sees things differently, theoretically speaking. And that she, like I said, unless she has interaction with her students, and her answer will be based on what her school, what the actions they took, and basically what her students have interacted with her about. That's, I think, how she would probably address this issue based on her experience as being a professor or interaction with her students, and how her campus have addressed that issue.
Right. So in this election, every election is important. It has some real reasoning, with what it is. But for you tonight, what is it that you really want to talk about in regards to something that didn't you just recently come from a?
Well, let's see. When I look at some people, if you see some of my videos, Daryl, Terrell for RCC, if you go to there, several videos, and some of the videos are related to one another because of the fact, it's like I had the saying what Robert Kennedy said. Some people see things as they are and say, why? I dream of things that never were and say, why not? And there's a reason for that. The thing I talked about, JFK going to the moon, and we actually went to the moon. It's the fact that Moreno Valley College could be so much more, that we can go to heights that we only could dream of. And when I mean it, so when I went and I talked about, I went down to Palm Springs because the windmill, renewable energy. And the whole problem was, the whole point of that is Moreno Valley meeting the challenges of our time. Moreno Valley College meeting the challenges. So community colleges should meet challenges that's out there. We should be flexible enough to meet, if there's a supply chain problem, then we need to start training more truckers. That's not a rocket scientist, but then if we need more paramedics, then we need to link up with the county to help pay for the tuition, and so we could get more paramedics out there. And so my whole thing is, when I went down there, we have an energy problem. And some people have seen the headlines about our grids can't handle all the usage and stuff. Then you hear today about the gas, the OPEC and Russia.
They're putting the squeeze on us.
So now people are getting to the point of, well, why are we, and gas is sky through the roof again.
$6.23.
So my thing is, Moreno Valley College is in a perfect position to meet that challenge. And I went down to the windmills because it was a part. They got these windmills and they got these solar panels. And we could do our part by creating career paths. But guess what, people? We don't have career paths at Moreno Valley College for renewable energy. You got to go to where? Riverside City College. But the point that I was making is that we can create career paths to positions like that, because you need people to fix the windmills. You need people to put the solar panels on the buildings. And so my thing also too was I went down to UCR, if you know UC Riverside, CSERT. And people say, what is CSERT?
What is CSERT?
CSERT is a Center for Environmental Research and Technology. That's what it is. So basically, I went down there, and lo and behold, working at Lowe's, this is you meet people. So I was out there filming about sustainable integrated projects that they have down there. So I ran into this guy, and I said, I remember you work at Lowe's. And he said, yeah, I work there. He said, yeah, I work at Lowe's. I remember your customer, because he fortunately spilled paint on himself. So literally,
or did you spill paint on him?
No.
Okay, got it.
No, I just spilled. But the thing was, he is a associate research engineer for the Barnes College of Engineering down at UCR. Could you imagine? We were talking about it. He was telling me what he was doing. He was showing me this hydrogen batteries and all this research they were doing. And I asked him, I said, you know what? I'm glad. I'm going to ask you a question. I said, why not? And I was telling him I was running for office for Moreno Valley Community College. I said, are you guys working with any colleges around here to make the links to create career paths and academia paths to associate of applied science degrees to work together, create curriculums, working with our college? He says, no. I said, that's my whole point.
Right.
My whole point
He just said, no, hell no.
Yeah. He said, well, they haven't. And he was saying, I said, when I'm elected, I would like to work with you guys to build a partnership, because people, you don't understand. Now, I've mentioned to people time and time again, Moreno Valley College is a key to bringing livable wage jobs into our community. And another part of it is the vision that I foresee is the fact that we do our part in getting to involve in renewable energy. And this research university has one of the biggest renewable energy projects in the state. They got several projects that's going on down there. They got a lot of stuff that's going on, a lot of technology, a lot of things that can help our community. But on that, bring good paying jobs. He was talking about that. Good paying jobs where you don't need a 4-year degree. You need a 2-year. But once a company knows out there that, hey, this Moreno Valley College is linking up with this research and development higher education institution, think about the possibilities of bringing in industries like that into our community. Thinking about also that it could do a lot for our own energy, sustainable energy in our own community. But those could bring good paying jobs, good career paths, and you get an associate of applied sciences. He thought it was a good idea.
Okay,
and that's why I went down there, because I think we can meet those challenges. If we want to bring industries that we only could dream of, that's how you do it. You have a training program on one end, that's a hybrid apprenticeship training program. On the other end, you work with a research development institution like UCR, working together to create those paths. You could bring then you could train people, because you don't need a 4-year degree for this stuff. And he said, that's what he told me.
Right. Let me ask you this, and I think that's very important what you just talked about. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis on Dr. Thin having a PhD. Okay, and that's important, okay?
Yes.
And let me tell you guys something about PhDs. All that means is you are very skilled at learning, and you can write really good papers. That's all a PhD means. I, myself, have 12 degrees. All that means is that I am a very good learner. That's all it means. Doesn't mean anything like that. Now, Daryl, you have a degree, a bachelor's degree in...
And I got 3.
You got 3.
Yes.
And what were they in?
In political science.
Political science. So you're a political guy. Like I said, you could be the governor down the line someday.
Oh, dang. Thank you. I appreciate
You better hurry up, because you're in your 50s right now. So.
Yeah, well, look at Joe Biden.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to be...
Exactly.
I ain't gonna say, I'm not going to comment on that, but
right.
Yeah, I get you.
Right. So, I mean, the emphasis on her having a PhD versus you having multiple degrees, What's the difference in your opinion? What, I mean, what's the big deal?
I can't figure out because there's a association that's supporting Dr. Thin, and they mention her education. She's right because her education.
And you have an education.
Yeah, and I'm saying, what about me?
Yeah, you have an education.
I have experience being an alumnus at RCC.
At the school that you want to be a trustee of.
I have an Associate of Arts degree, Associate of Science degree. I have a Bachelor's Arts degree from UCR. And it seemed like they're putting, they said, the fit for the board. What? Okay, my education, I have educational experience. Being a student leader in the student movement, fighting against reducing of our student services and things of fighting against racial injustice on the campus. And I mean, so my education doesn't mean I don't need education to be on, let's put it this way. Anybody, though, you don't need a higher education degree, you don't need a college degree to serve on a college board. I believe that because...
Right, you don't need one, right?
No.
It's not a requirement.
No, because being on a trustee board is much bigger than having academia. You got to be able to work with your community. You got to think about what's out there. And like I said time and time again, we got industries out there, but there's no career path to those industries at Moreno Valley College. And let me say this part too, it's important. Our career tech educational programs at Moreno Valley College does not reflect the industries we have out there. You don't need to be a doctor to figure that out.
Right.
All you have to do is look around you. And that would tell you something.
Right. Now wasn't former Congressman Mark Takano, wasn't he on this trustee board?
Yeah, he was on RCC.
And I think Assemblyman Medina, he was also on there as well. So there's a long line of succession of people who use that aspect for political gain later on. It's a stepping stone to political office later on. In regards to Dr. Thin, she's run for a lot of offices and things. And as a matter of fact, I believe previously she had ran for this, not District 5. I think they had reorganized or something back in the day, but she had ran for the board previously and didn't make it on that board.
Yes.
And I'm not throwing that out there to be salty or anything to her. I'm just stating facts. If I was looking at it, it would seem to me that Dr. Thin is not passionate about anything. She's passionate about serving the community in some capacity. Yeah. And it seems like to me she's confused in what her passion is. Now, I know I'm a loudmouth. A lot of people think that I just talk all this stuff and I'm just doing all this other stuff. But one thing about me is I'm passionate about one thing, Daryl, Terrell, and please tell me what that is.
For you?
For me.
For you, it's Edgemont.
Exactly. See, you know that.
Yes, I do.
You know that. I've never wavered.
No.
I am passionate because I want it to be done.
Well, yeah.
Now here's my thing with Dr. Thin. And to me, this is the difference.
Okay.
I don't know where she stands. One day she's the school board. Then she's running for District 3 as a council member, and I'm going to do all this and that. Then she's running for mayor. I'm going to do all this, and then she's running for dog catcher. And I'm not trying to throw Dr. Thin under the bus. I'm telling you, this is the perception that I get. I don't get the fact that she is passionate about anything. I get the effect that she just wants to serve the community. Now, with you, people will say, well, Daryl Terrell, he ran for this, and he ran for that, he ran for this too. But you said something that made sense to me. No matter what you run for, it is still based on
economic mobility.
Mobility. So no matter what position it is, your passion is economic mobility.
Yes.
Okay.
Because our people in this community has far too long we have getting the short end of the stick when it comes to good paying jobs in this community. Okay. And not having specialized training, and there's no link currently that the city or Moreno Valley College are linking up with these industries out here. And when I ran for mayor, it was the same type of thing. It's because if people want to move up the ladder in life and get the things to own a home and things, it's about ownership, but you have to have some type of education or specialized training. And I go up there time after time and going to different places because I believe economic mobility is the key to moving the city forward. And so whatever aspect it was, if it was school board, mayor, city council, or this position, they have one thing in common: economic mobility. Each one plays a part in economic mobility.
See, and that's the difference. Like I said, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it's not the same." It's not the same. Daryl Terrell has a passion for economic mobility. So no matter what position it might be, it all relates to economic mobility. That's his passion. With Dr. Thin, I don't know what her passion is. Just like I just used myself as an example. Yeah. What is my passion? Edgemont. Edgemont this. Edgemont that. I've never wavered what my passion is. And I don't need to necessarily hold an office to advocate for Edgemont. Like I said, I got a $250,000 or $1 million to get a few streets done and stuff like that, which was very successful. But my passion is where I live, and that's my passion. I don't feel that from Dr. Thin at all. It's like she just wants to serve the community. And Dr. Thin, if you're listening, that is an awesome thing. But just like in the movie A Few Good Men, you don't need a badge on your arm to have honor. You don't. You could serve your community without having to be in a position of prestige, okay? In that aspect. So let me ask you this, Daryl, and let me just pivot for that.
Okay.
So I just wanted everybody to kind of be clear, because a lot of people are going to say, well, Daryl's running for a lot of stuff too. There's a difference. He has a passion for economic mobility, and I think that this position is better suited more because you're starting where people need it first. You can't build a house without a foundation.
Yeah,
and your first foundation is what? Education.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the only way. If people in this community look around you, you see these warehouses, you see these 99-cent stores, you check action places, and I'm gonna tell you, people, why they come here.
L.A.
Yep, but again, I'll point to one figure, and the figure I always quote from is from the American Community Survey. If you look at it, the highest education attainment in Moreno Valley is a high school education or less. So business gonna come to a community based on what they see in the demographics.
Yes,
and they're only gonna come with the skill sets. If your skill set is high school education, is gonna bring employment that fits that skill set.
Yes, and you've said that for years. And you've said that for years, because if you look at the city of Stockton looked like it's a burnt-out Beirut. In the 1970s, the city of Stockton was a major warehousing city. Now, why was it a major warehousing city? A lot of people don't want to believe this. It had a high Hispanic and black population. Logistics always goes where there's a high Hispanic and black population that is a median to poor, because people want jobs and they just want to work. Unfortunately, we're in the 21st century now. Warehouses don't need 300 people moving boxes. They just need 34 technicians to run the robots. And that's where we're at right now. I don't know. Let me ask you this question. I don't know. Did you hear my interview with mayoral candidate Jaime Hurtado?
Yes.
He said something in his thing, and it was great. And again, if you're a candidate out there and you want to get some exposure, you are more than welcome to come on the show. I would love to have you. Daryl is here all the time. Daryl started with me when I was doing podcasts right in front of the Starbucks, right off of Fredericks Boulevard. And Daryl came out he saw me one day, and he's like, what the hell y'all doing? He didn't say hell, but he's like, well, what are y'all doing? We're like doing a podcast. And he's like, I see you want to join? He's like, yeah, come on. It took you like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you came down, and I said, and then he finally sat down with us, and he's been with us ever since, off and on. Jaime Hurtado said this, and let me tell you guys something. By coming on the show, he changed a lot of people's perception of him as a candidate and as a person, because people actually got to hear what he was saying and what it was going through his head, and he talked legitimately, no canned questions, just what he believed. And that's how you should be, genuine and real. But he said something that I thought was very important. You know Jaime.
Yeah.
You've been here just as long as anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that it's very important to have he said what makes him a great mayoral candidate is the fact that he has relationships with people. 25 years relationships, whatever the deal is. So being in the Chamber of Commerce, whatever. What do you think about that? Because like yourself, you've been here a very long time, so you have relationships. Because every time you come in here, you're always talking about this person, you know, all these people you know. And, of course, you know at Lowe's and stuff like that. So you have relationships with people. So when you get on the school board, what could those relationships do? Like this man you just met today. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a relationship that you just garnered and you started. So what does that going to bring to you as a trustee in regards to experience, knowledge, and what can we benefit from it as students and as taxpayers?
Well, like for this fella, it's going to bring a different look at community college when it comes to renewable energy, meeting the challenges. But also, I met a fella that he installed fences. Yeah, and he has a big company. Okay, and he says his big problem is he can't find anybody that know how to do. They come out of high school not prepared to. They can't do the post, the basic mathematics, because again, math and science that's lacking in the United States. And so my relationships with those folks and Jaime, I know Jaime for 30 years, so I know him. I know the council member Elena Santa Cruz. I've known her. And I know a lot of people in the community. Well, you know everybody on the council. Well, and you have a relationship with everybody. But the business community, when you talk to a business like Padilla, I talked to AP, Padilla, and we talked about his company. But see, my experience is because I go where people that I can learn from and understand what they're missing. How can we help fit their needs? And that's what community college should be about. It should be about not only meeting our students' needs, but that business out there. Sure. Because if they looking for a skilled workforce, it's logical for us to create that pipeline for them. And so my experiences, because I know elected officials, like I said, but they can help get grant money. They could get point us to other resources that we never thought about tapping into where it don't cost the taxpayers money. Yes, and that's what my campaign is about. It's about building partnerships to industries out there that have livable wage jobs. I even talked to a guy from P&G. I talked to him about what I was trying to do. I talked to this guy that works. He's building that Tilden and Cole and Tilden and Coil. They working on. They doing construction. Okay. He said they're having a shortage of finding construction workers, day workers, and things like that. Yeah. And I told him what I was trying to do. He thought it would be a good idea. See, my thing is, I see people, have a good relationship with people, and say, here's what we can do to help each other. You need workers, and we could help you supply those workers. We'll share the costs and resources. Go ahead. I'm sorry to cut you off. But like you were saying, how does that benefit? It's the fact that I know what's going on in the business community. Right. So I know what we can do about the different people that I know, how we could gain resources to connect. So Mayor Hurtado, future Mayor Hurtado, you and him have a relationship. You guys know each other. So that means that when you get on as a trustee and you and Mayor that represent Moreno Valley specifically, you have a open door, basically, to the mayor to work issues out and to get resources to our students in Trustee Area 5. Yeah, and see, that's a good point, what you just made, because the fact is, knowing him and knowing that we have the same mindset, the same vision about apprenticeships and training programs. Business minded. Yeah, business minded. See, our mind thinks alike. Just like a council member of Santa Cruz, Elena Santa Cruz, or like hopefully Shalinda, hopefully her, because it's in her district, that we all could work together and to get our fair share of resources. Sure. And he has resources. They all have the resources. Working with the county, we could get the resources from that. And that will be a successful program. And then if the mayor becomes supervisor, then that would be even... Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. See, the whole point, like I was telling Jaime, and I told Jaime, I said, we could take this city to heights that we only could dream about. Because the key to all this is us working together as one for the benefit of the community, to make sure that those folks have the skills they need to be successful in gaining those livable wage jobs. But not only that, but bringing in industries that we only could think about. Just like I was talking about Dr. Johnson down at the CSERT project. Think about it. We have land out there by that hospital on both sides that we could create our own Loma Linda.
Wait, but do we own that land? Or
We don't own it.
Does that Ito
I think
that?
it is.
Yeah. So.
But see, the thing is, though, we could work together and do. We can make our own Loma Linda. You got the hospital, Kaiser. You got the county. That land is perfectly to create the industry for medical.
Correct.
And Reno Valley could help train those people by working with the county, by working with the city. We have in our arms a potential to take us to heights that we can only dream about. If we work together as one. And that's knowing Jaime, knowing our council member, Celinda, we could do. People will be glad to have us all in there together because we can bring in businesses, industries, livable wages with economic mobility that can help raise a family. And when kids graduate from high school, they're going to want to stay because we have industries that fit what their needs are. That's a big thing. That's a win-win situation for everybody.
Absolutely. Dr. Thin also recently went to a today. I want to talk about today. There was a building dedication at Moreno Valley High School.
No, Moreno Valley.
Oh, I'm sorry, high school.
Moreno Valley College. It was a school of public safety.
School of public safety. So, could you just tell us a little bit about what happened there?
Well, there was a dedication of a brand new building at Ben Clark Center. And for people who don't know, they train law enforcement, paramedics.
Yeah, that used to be the old 15th Air Force headquarters.
Yes,
for the Air Force. Yeah,
and EMTs. You got correctional officers, dispatchers, and you have firefighters. And they have a facility now where they could be able to have classrooms and train people for those fields there. And it's one of the biggest in the region. And the thing is also too is that it was let me think here. Yeah, what they train people at the School of Public Safety. So it meets the needs a challenge. Now, like I was saying before, there's a paramedic crisis right now. Where trying to fill paramedics.
Sure.
And law enforcement too. There's a shortage. So we have industries. We have a school that trains people for those positions right here in Moreno Valley. Well, technically, anyway, but it's in Moreno Valley College.
Sure.
So that's what happened. They got this building. They did open the building up. It's a nice facility and everything. And they have something they just said Moreno Valley College just did for the School of Public Safety was they have this simulation of a jail, a correction center.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. But yeah, they have a simulation over there by the correctional center, what they would have to go through. But it's regionally people come there and they get trained and they have higher certification, like for the paramedics. Sometimes you have to go to another school.
Do we have a post certification at the Ben Clark Center for law enforcement?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I went there. It was well attended. Like I said,
was Dr. Thin in attendance?
I didn't see her.
You didn't see her there. Okay.
But yeah, it was. I mean, I went in there and they showed you how if someone's choking, they showed you the little dummies and how they
punch in the chest and stuff like that.
But
I think it's very telling that it's somebody who wants. If I'm not, we don't know if she was there or not, but I'm just gonna assume she wasn't. It's very telling that a person wants a certain seat, but yet they're not showing up at certain events or my show to advocate for why they would be a good candidate for the seat. Because this is basically an interview. And the reason why I put you candidates on is so number one, we know there's not going to be no debates because nobody wants to debate. I mean, you want to debate, Daryl. I know there's a lot of people but a lot of people don't want to put it on because they think it's just a straight shoe-in. But this is a basic interview, and I think it's important that people hear where you stand on the issues. And, if Dr. Thin is not showing up at these events, we're going to call you out. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. And, for legal sakes, I'm getting tired of being sued. maybe she showed up, maybe she didn't. Give her the benefit of the doubt, but I just don't understand how you can advocate. Maybe she had another engagement. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she had another engagement, but I think it's very important that you show up for events that you need to show up for a position that you want. There's no way I'm going to go to an employer and say, hey, I really want to work for you, and he tells me be here at 7:30 and I'm not there. I'm there at 6:30. They also brought up the difference between you and Dr. Thin, the fact that she has military experience. Now, even though you were not in the military, what difference does it make she has military experience? Military, yes, she's the military in the era that Dr. Thin and I were in. Dr. Thin's a little bit older than me, not much. But yes, they taught leadership, and they especially in the Air Force, they breed leaders, and a lot of books in the Air Force, which is totally different than the other branches. But I just don't think whatever that association that she was with and on the page, I can't remember who they were exactly.
The faculty.
Yeah, the faculty association.
RCCS.
They don't know what the hell they're talking about, because everybody that's in the military is bred to be a leader in some capacity. The lowest infantryman, if everybody got picked off in his squad, that person is supposed to take the next shell of leadership. I'm not saying that everybody's a leader naturally. That's not true. In the military, they make leaders sometimes. How do you feel about them bringing in her military experience? I mean, what does that have to do with it?
I don't know. I think showing that she was a veteran, I applaud her service. Thank her for her service to this country. But I've seen people that were served in our military, and they took a different path.
Oh, you're talking about the oath, some of the oath takers, and some of our policemen that January 6th that have been implicated.
Yeah. So sure. I can see that, but I thank her for her service. But to me, you don't need to have served military to be in any position of leadership, because what I see, because it didn't say being a board of trustees require you to have military experience. But for me, I may not have served in the military.
But you come from a military type family.
Yeah, I come from a military type of family. I have a father served in the military. My grandfather, World War II, Purple Heart, shot on Omaha Beach. He was a police officer, served this community. My dad, he served too, and he worked at GM. But we all have our place in society.
Yeah, everybody's affiliated with the military in some capacity, especially us that are children of baby boomers who are children of World War II veterans.
But what I understand about this faculty association, who did not give me a chance to tell them what I'm all about, and they chose another candidate, which is fine and good.
Now, isn't this election nonpartisan?
It's supposed to be nonpartisan.
And she received a endorsement by the Democratic Party. So why is the Democratic Party endorsing a candidate in a nonpartisan race? Wouldn't that make her a Democratic candidate?
Yeah, it does. Because it's a nonpartisan race, but when you have organizations that say we support nonpartisan candidates, that's not factually true, because she received endorsement from the Riverside County Democratic Party.
So people who might not necessarily be from this community is making decisions on candidates that will lead us.
Yes. And they have no skin in the game in this community.
Right.
They are faculty members, and I will say this: love my faculty at RCC, but we also, when I was a student leader, we have run-ins because we want teachers' evaluation, and they didn't want that.
Right.
So people like me are going to be trouble for them, because I see things from a student point of view. That's what makes me a better trustee, because I understand going there, being a student, and I fought the battles with administration and faculty members. And like I said, I have respect for them. But when you have a saying that says, we all in this together, I totally agree. But when Moreno Valley College hasn't got their fair share of resources when it comes to career tech education programs, you look around you and you got to go to Norco College to get logistics. If you want to do manufacturing, you got to go to Norco. Something is wrong. You got to stand up and say something. So that's what makes me a better candidate, because the fact that I was a student, and I was a student leader. I fought the battles for our community, and I want to be the voice of our community on the RCC Board of Trustees and make sure we get our fair share of resources.
Amen, you guys. Hey, it was a great interview, Daryl. Thanks for stopping by again. Are we going to see you again next week? I hope so. Maybe Sunday, maybe Wednesday. I think Wednesday's our day.